are listening to the Scale with Speed podcast. Why? Because scale equals revenue and speed equals profit. Hosted by nine-figure business builders Matt Manero and Judge Graham. Enter with caution.
Welcome to the Scale with Speed podcast. I'm Matt Manero in the studio with Judge Graham.
The Matt Manero, the Judge Graham.
I'm wearing black today because black is
Good,
slimming, dude.
man.
Black is slimming.
You look good, dude.
Hey, man, we've been on the road.
Which I don't like.
Hey, people have been taking care of us on the road, but we've been
I
busy,
got that
man.
kennel cough. Not COVID, but
We did the Burn the Ships Foxtrot group here in Dallas.
Yep.
And then immediately the following week, we actually took it on the road and did the combo version of it. We called it Scale with Speed with Coach Bert's group in Vero Beach, Florida.
which was cool. But what a hell of a! I got to tell the story. So we get out off the plane, and I'm exhausted. I mean, we're both exhausted. But I'm just
Because
tired.
you'd been traveling that weekend, too.
Yeah, I just got back from Palm Springs, and literally get off the plane, and I'm like, all right, Matt, I'm gonna get the Uber. So I pop it down, I hit it, and I look at the freaking cost, and it's like $340. Where are we going, Matt? It's an hour and 40 away. So then I start busting his balls about like, dude, why'd you book this airport? What's going on? But it happened to be. That was just what it was.
It's hard to get to Vero. There's like no easy way. But when I booked it, it said Orlando, Melbourne. And I thought that just meant Orlando, so I booked Orlando.
But that was still an hour and 30 minutes, even if we would have gone there.
Even
so.
West Palm, they said with the traffic might still be an hour and 15 minutes. So, but anyway, we did it, and then we met a great guy on the Uber back. What was his name? Tom. Tom from
just a good
Jersey.
Jersey guy.
Good guy, man. So look, the thing we keep seeing with all the attendees now, over 200 who have come through the Burn the Ships ecosystem, it's very interesting. Number one, there's a lot of frustration in the marketplace, man. People have had the pain and they're looking for the gain. You know, I mean, isn't that a recurring theme where like, dude, I've been trying, man. I'm working it. I'm doing the best I can, and I don't know that it's gonna work. I'm losing confidence, so maybe I'm just gonna be okay with where I am. And we try to wake people up. The second thing we always see is where so many companies fail is in this culture and value system. It's the biggest takeaway, I think, is that people, and we've already seen text from people who are redoing their core values and the impact that makes. And you know, we're on the other side of it, but I do remember, you know, number one, not having a value system to the business, but then also putting it in and having to be relentless to it and allowing the change to occur. Perfect example that just happened here. And we should do a podcast on what reviews mean and why they matter. But we're doing a review thing here in the office, and we're getting so many reviews coming back in from clients, and they're referencing both the salesperson and the operations person, which ties to the core value of teamwork. And it just gives you this unique opportunity to reinforce. Here's teamwork playing out again, guys. Here's teamwork playing out again. Here's how the marketplace and the client base is seeing that it's not just the salesperson who's in charge of the relationship, but there's somebody else within the organization that's in charge, and they're being noticed, man. It's great.
Well, more importantly is the customer is seeing the reviews, right? I mean, listen, we talk about this, and I believe it's gotten even more important, right? People want to be judged by people want to judge your company by their peers. Right? What was that? You know, be judged by your peers. There was a saying. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure I know that one.
Judged by a jury, judged by your peers. I don't know. Doesn't matter. They are looking at the peers and the reviews to make that decision, right? We talk about all the time. 67% of people do their diligence digitally. That could be Google reviews, that could be Yelp, that could be social media, that could be the website before they make a decision. And if they see shitty reviews and or no reviews,
Dude, they're
not going to do business with you.
We're going to do a whole podcast on this.
Yeah.
This is just too important to glaze over. So we're gonna
Put a pin in that one.
Yeah, we're gonna put a pin in that one, and we're gonna do a podcast on what reviews really mean.
Right. So what are we talking about today?
All right. So today we're talking about client retention strategies, right? And what can people do to do business and keep business and make sure that the hard work of earning the client retains the client and keeps them coming back. And one of the things you wrote the book, Mastering Recurring Revenue. It's about client retention, right? So go to Amazon and get the book, Mastering Recurring Revenue, Judge Graham. But the concept is, it's like this. When you see the offer on television and the fine print says this is for new customers only to get the discount. I never understood that.
Right. We don't care about the old ones.
Right. The old ones, we already got your business, right? No, dude, I'm the old. Why wouldn't I get the discount? Why would only a new customer get the new discount? Why wouldn't I get the discount? Makes me crazy that people don't understand the importance of client retention. So that's what we're talking about today, because if you look at your business as if you were a scientific, you make a drug, right? You make a vaccine. You're spending billions of dollars in the research and development to try to create the vaccine that works, to then keep your fingers crossed and sell it to the marketplace. The same thing applies when it comes to finding your clients. Whatever you're spending to get that client, you may have a loss leader on the first deal you do with the client. It's the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth deal that you can make margin on. The lifetime value of that client.
Yeah, it costs, what's the stat? We don't have it in front of us, but I know it's 5x. It costs 5 times more to get a new customer than to keep an existing one. And it becomes so important back to that recurring revenue. I mean, we were in a meeting last night with the company talking about this, right? And we were looking at it and we were just like, all right, guys, listen, all you need to do is freaking continue to win the amount that you're winning, but freaking keep what you win. In over 4 or 5 months, this place is going to look totally different. Cash flow, scale, opportunity. But for whatever reason, Matt, I mean, everybody's so focused on
new business,
Go ahead, and winning it that they don't service or keep or maintain or cross-sell or upsell the current customer.
So, you have probably the best example or storyline I've ever heard on this, which is, in Jimmy, the guy you buy your trucks from. So lay into that story for a minute so people can really understand how this plays out in the real world.
Okay, and I'll be relatively quick, but I'm in Texas. I got the hat on. I'm the only guy that wears shorts, Yeezys, and a cowboy hat, but usually I have cowboy boots on. But listen, I love big trucks, big Texas trucks. And if you are familiar with the Texas area, it hails, right? So super important that my big-ass truck can fit in my garage. Mm-hmm. Now, that garage is 8 feet. But remember, I want a lifted truck, big wheels. So,
well, on the new truck you're getting, what do you got? 37s?
38s.
38s and a 4-inch or a 6-inch?
It's going to look nasty. It's a 3.5-inch lift on 38s by 20s.
Okay. So that'll be right about 80 inches.
I don't know. I'm hoping it fits. Yeah, we're going to have to. We've measured. We'll see. So, anyhow, I use this truck, and I bought the current truck I'm getting delivered soon, hopefully, from this guy named Jimmy. Now, the reason, Matt,
same guy who bought your last truck, right?
Yeah, and who I'm going to buy continually from, okay? And it gets back to this customer centricity and servicing and focusing on your current customers. This guy understood how to take care of the customer, okay? I just make it fast. I found 2 trucks identical online. Literally, the only difference was the wheels. I was happy with either one. Called the first place. The first place wouldn't measure the truck for me. Called the second place, Jimmy. Not only did he measure the truck, it was too big. I said, no thanks. He said, may I drive it over to see if it fits? I said, you're out of your mind. Why are you questioning my measurement skills? He was right. I was wrong. He drives over, throws the truck at the garage. It fits, no problem. I buy the truck from Jimmy, and there's more backstory behind how he sold it and multiple lessons learned. But what's been great about Jimmy is he understood the customer and did what it takes to win the customer. And Jimmy follows up, right? Jimmy says, hey, there's a new truck coming out. This guy buys. Now, I buy a truck every 6 to 12 months. I'm getting better. I'm trying to extend that to 12 months.
Better meaning longer.
Yeah, instead of buying them every 6 months. But he understands the power of that customer, right? Now, I don't say this to impress or impress upon people. I mean, the trucks I buy aren't cheap.
Yeah. These are $100,000 trucks.
Yeah, I mean, they're brand new trucks. They're all customized, stereo system, lights, bumpers, grills, tires. I mean, they're brand new. So they're pretty expensive, vehicles as it relates to a truck. So if you put one customer like me in perspective, and since Jimmy did a good job servicing me, selling me the truck, and following up and understands who I am as a customer, and let's just assume every year I'm buying a vehicle of that, dude, just that one customer lifetime value becomes a pretty big number for Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, you will be worth $500,000 plus
in
lifetime
2.5
value.
to 3, 5 years.
And anyone who says, I want to buy a truck, call my man Jimmy.
Yeah.
So, it's $1 million relationship for Jimmy.
Yeah, one customer.
One customer, because he took care of you and did what you needed. Now, the challenge that we find when we go into business and we talk to people on client retention is a lot of times it's related to the way we pay our people. So if you have commission-only salespeople because you're afraid to pay a living wage, a base salary, so you put them on commission, not only does that create the whole other rigmarole of culture, impact, and do they sort of fall in line with how we do it here, all that piece. But the other thing is every customer is a transaction for them. They're not necessarily looking at the lifetime value of a customer. They're looking at it in a commission factor. So how do we advise people in which when your salespeople are commissioned that they just have to go a few other steps for the long-term value?
Yeah, and it gets down into not only those steps, but back into how are you managing your CRM, how well are you taking notes,
Hey, that's
how are you
the deal.
understanding.
Stay on that.
Yeah.
Because that's really the deal, right?
Yeah.
It's this thing. The client thinks they're doing business with the salesperson and only the salesperson because the company doesn't manage the CRM. It doesn't use the data to say, hang on a minute, there's a lot of other players that went into the success of your deal. We love our salespeople and they did a great job for you, but the reality is there was shipping, there was logistics, there was IT, there was marketing, there was operations, there's a bunch of other people. And when the company doesn't manage the CRM, the salesperson controls the client relationship and that hurts client retention.
Yeah, and it's more than, for you guys listening going, dude, I got my CRM dialed in, I got trigger points, I got automated emails. No, dude. Understand the customer at a personal level, okay? Use me as the example. Somewhere in that CRM should have the ability for that salesperson to say, this guy buys this amount of truck value about every 6 months, right? How you communicate with that individual and the frequency is much different than the person that buys a truck and is going to drive it for 10 years, right? I shouldn't get the same email is the guy that's buying it for 10 years. But back to this servicing the customer and it costs 5x more to keep them. Like, there's so much money in just servicing and mining and taking care of your customers, not only to keep them so they can keep paying, but coming back and to cross into new products.
So what we see here at Commercial Fleet, which was probably the thing that struck me the most interesting when we really started mining our acres of diamonds. If you haven't listened to that episode of Scale with Speed, you should go back a couple and listen to the Mining the Acres of Diamonds podcast episode. But what I thought was so interesting was people really don't care about emails. I kept saying to marketing, like, come on, like the customer journey. I mean, I get the storyline on source. Guess what we find? Send the email, no open. 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 I'm not done yet. Send the email, no open. Send the email, no open. Send the email, open.
Timing and circumstance.
Email open, customer hits the site. Customer spends time on the site. Customer fills out a credit application. We do the deal. Time and circumstance. The importance of a strategy that keeps you in front of the client, not when you need the client, but when the client needs you. And that's what we don't do for client retention. We stop the follow-up.
Yeah, that's so, what you just said is, it's when the client needs you. Okay, and so if you're not looking at it in that lens, you're going to lose. And how do you look at it in that lens? You got to have a great product, you got to have a great service, you got to have great customer service, you got to deliver, you got to do those things, but you have to intimately know the customer on an individual level and build systems and structure and process to ensure that you're there and you're anticipating when they're going to need you.
So this is for anyone who's listening who's come to the early Burn the Ships, this is a new topic that we put in, a new deck that we put in. Judge created it called Buyer Personas, in which we're talking about, like, let's be straight about it. If Jimmy called you up and said, hey, Mr. Graham, you've been a good client, I'd like to go to dinner with you, you'd be like, no, dude, you don't have to. Jimmy, it's good. We don't have to go to dinner, right?
Totally.
But the salesperson who doesn't understand your buyer persona, knowing that is not you, that strategy doesn't work. But yet there might be someone else who says, yeah, I just gave you a $100,000 deal. You better take me out to dinner.
Yeah, totally.
Right? So you got to understand the buyer personas and communicate properly with the buyer personas. You talk about it best at our Burn the Ships, where we're talking about the one type of a buyer who is only concerned about how choosing you makes them look in their career.
Totally.
And the other buyer who says, hey, don't call me, don't email, don't text me, let's communicate on TikTok.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and then now you know how to service them ongoing and how to communicate, and gets back into what we're talking about is keeping and growing the customer.
So let's finish on the topic of client retention to get a better understanding of what it does to the enterprise value. Because when you go to sell your business and the smart people come into the room, one of the first questions they're going to want to see in the data report, the data pull, the data room that's been created that's starting to spit out all these crazy strings of data that you never looked at before, is tell us how much repeat business you get.
Yeah, they're going to want to look at lifetime value. They're going to want to look at how long on average does a customer stay, and they're going to want to look at how often are they attriting.
Yeah. Attrition. They're leaving.
Right. So lifetime value, how often are they buying, staying, and how frequently are they leaving?
Yeah.
Right? And so, dude, if you have those things dialed in, that number is just going to skyrocket. Now, you could have the best business in the world, and we call it leaky, bucket syndrome. You catch, you got 60 fish in the bucket every month, but you got a hole in the bucket and you've got 30 leaving. It doesn't matter how big the company is at scale. You could have, 1,000 fish every month and, 500 leaving. Your value is much less, right? I'd rather you catch 100 fish every month and keep 80, you're going to win over 6 months.
We should probably preface this whole thing that, you do have a product or service that allows customers to want to stay with you, right? I mean, you're not selling something that they don't care about. But the finisher on this one of client retention is really important for you guys to understand, because you might be saying, we have unbelievable client retention because we do business with Walmart. And Walmart's 80% of our business, and we really service Walmart.
That's another podcast problem we could solve.
On the topic of client retention, we want you to look at the other side of that equation, because we do hear that in Burn the Ships, where people tell us, I have this unbelievable relationship. And when we talk about customer centricity as a topic of Burn the Ships, and they're like, oh, yeah, we got like 3 clients. Yeah, dude, that's a problem for you, right?
Customer concentration.
Yeah. What did I say? Customer centricity?
Yeah,
customer concentration. That's a problem. And so when you're talking about client retention, you need to also run the bench a little bit deeper and find ways to reduce the amount of volume that your revenue comes from in a very limited amount of customers. Because, dude, you don't know whether somebody else is going to come in and lower the hammer, drop the price, and steal what you've worked so hard for because you didn't have diversity of clients.
Yep.
Dangerous, man.
Very dangerous. Yeah. So takeaways: be good customer service, right? Care about your freaking customer. Deliver a good product. But more importantly, learn from this podcast, how do you get an intimate one-on-one relationship? Relook at your CRM. Relook at the data that's going in. The new world of companies that thrive, not only survive, but thrive, they understand customers at an individual level. And that doesn't have to be that complicated. There's so much amazing technology that allows that to happen. You just have to start doing it, because the old days, those are over.
Yeah.
Right? There's been this digital disruption and this new onset of customer focused in digital transformation, and if you're not aligning everything digitally around servicing the customer at a one-to-one level, you're going to lose.
Everybody should go get their hands on the book, The Challenger Sale by Matt Dixon, where they do the synopsis of the 2008 Great Recession, and they talk about how the old school relationship guy who did the cowboy football games and the golf outings and all that sort of stuff, pardon me, got his ass handed to him in 08, 09 when everything became commoditized. And so the idea that you need to have a relationship with your customer is vital, but the thought of what a relationship is changed and needs to be completely rethought. So I don't know what else we can say on this topic. I mean, the first thing you guys should do is go back to the office right now and say, what are we doing to retain, keep, hold our customers, grow, to make sure that our revenue is stable, that our chaos. I mean, think of the chaos of every month you've got to find new customers because of the attrition, because you can't keep them. It's unbelievable. It's impossible. All right, guys. Judge, any parting comments for today's episode of Customer Retention on the Scale with Speed podcast?
If you get and keep customers, you make money.
You'll be all right.
So go make it happen.
See you down the road.
You are listening to the Scale with Speed podcast. Why? Because scale equals revenue and speed equals profit. Hosted by 9-figure business builders Matt Manero and Judge Graham. Enter with caution.